On tonight's programme, a 9-month-old baby boy is killed in a dog attack. As police investigate the breed involved, local people have told us of their heartbreak.
Everybody's just in shock, and just that real sense of loss, but also an outpouring of love, really.
Also on the programme, this primary school in Llanelli was forced to stay closed after receiving threatening messages online. I'll be live with the latest.
Plus 100 years on from a dam burst that claimed 16 lives, how the disaster in a Welsh valley led to change. And after a long, hot summer, a bumper apple harvest is bringing a vintage year for cider makers. Good evening and welcome to the programme. Unbelievably awful. That's how a dog attack has been described after a baby boy was killed in Monmouthshire last night. Emergency services were called to a house in Rogiet near Dolgarrog on Sunday evening, but were not able to save the 9-month-old. Our reporter Kate Lewis has been in the village today. Kate, and an update from the police in the last few hours.
That's right, John. Yes, at 4:30 today, Gwent Police held a press conference in which they gave us two significant updates. The first being that the baby that died in the property over my shoulder, where you can see the light on in the bedroom, was a baby boy. No further information about the victim has yet been given. The second bit was about the dog. We now know the dog belonged to a family member and has since been destroyed. There are lots of questions here tonight, but, and the investigation is very much ongoing.
Inquiries are still ongoing to establish the breed of the dog. It is important that we're certain of the breed, and we will release information once it has been formally confirmed. No arrests have been made at this time.
Lots of questions, as I say, remain around what happened at this property, but the real sense that I've got from spending the day here is one of sorrow. This was the scene on the quiet residential street in Monmouthshire yesterday evening. This narrow road in Rogiet cordoned off as police and ambulances attended a report that a 9-month-old baby boy had been attacked and killed by a dog. This morning, the street had mostly returned to normal. 2 police officers the only indication that something had happened at this property. What can't be seen but can be felt here is the sense of complete disbelief. Catherine lives in the area and is a trustee of the Rogiet Community Junction Community Cafe. She says everyone's thoughts are very much with those affected.
I think the community is in shock. It is a close-knit community, and I think everybody's just been rocked by what has happened and just feeling so sad, and just sending love and support to the family involved.
The dog was seized and removed from the property last night. Police say investigations are ongoing to establish exactly what happened inside this house. As news of this tragedy continues to spread, flowers are left by a passerby, and already a fundraising page has been set up to help the family with funeral costs. Small gestures, but ones that come as no surprise to local councillor Peter Strong.
A child, especially a baby, is a source of joy and love, and to lose a baby in those circumstances is unbelievably terrible, and our hearts are with them today. But this is a strong community. We have many people here who devote themselves really to looking after their neighbours, and it is that spirit that will get us through.
I met one of the local vicars who was in Rogiet today to offer words of comfort and support to those living in this tight-knit community.
I would keep on doing what you do so well. Be together as a community, support each other, respect the family and give them their space to grieve.
The presence of the emergency services here may now be gone, but the sense of shock and sadness felt by this community will remain for a long, long time.
And Kate, this is clearly taking its toll on local people.
It really has, John. As you heard in my report there, this is a tight-knit community and everyone wants to know that they can pull together. The family are being supported by dedicated officers, and the police force were keen to stress today that they know the impact this has had on the wider community and that the officers out on the streets are here to support them too.
OK. Kate Lewis in Rogiet, thank you very much indeed. The trial of two women accused of stalking Madeleine McCann's family has heard the alleged offences were cruel and unforgiving. Julia Van Delt and Karen Spragg, who's seen here walking down the stairs, both deny one count of stalking. In the prosecution's closing argument, Karen Spragg from Cardiff was described as an enthusiastic encourager of what was taking place. The trial at Leicester Crown Court continues. Police in Carmarthenshire are investigating threats which led to the closure of a primary school in Llanelli today. No further information has been released about the nature of those threats, but Carmarthenshire County Council has confirmed that no other schools are thought to be at risk. Lewis Rhys-Jones is in Llanelli for us now. Lewis, what do we know then?
John, it was just before 7 o'clock this morning that Dyfed-Powys Police released a statement to say that a decision had been made to close Dafen Primary School here in Llanelli, and that was because overnight they received information about threatening messages being made online, meaning that safeguarding action needed to be immediately taken. As of tonight, the inquiries do continue. The council have told us that none of the other schools in the area had to close, but there has been a strong police presence on this street and indeed all around Dafen throughout much of the day. While there will undoubtedly be many questions from families about the details of this ongoing incident, people are being urged not to speculate.
I'm hoping that parents of the children in all the schools in this area, especially Dafen School, do get their answers. What has happened, what has gone on. It's very important for them to know what's gone on, but we'll wait for that investigation to take place. We can't jump forward and assume what we think has happened.
And Lewis, I can imagine this is causing a huge concern for many.
Well, for sure, John, and it's only natural that parents will worry about this. It was only a couple of weeks ago that a school, Ysgol Dyffryn Aman, in the same county, was forced into a lockdown after threats or an incident, an off-site incident that they were worried about. So when parents are seeing more incidents like this, such as parents we've been speaking to today, many are saying it makes them anxious to send their child into the classroom.
I can imagine. Lewis Rhys-Jones in Llanelli, thank you very much indeed. Meanwhile, striking teachers have forced the closure of a school in Flintshire. There have been 9 days of disruption, with staff saying they're concerned about worrying behavioural issues in the classroom and the leadership at Flint High School. Well, today, frustrated parents met outside the school gates to call for an end to the industrial action. Joanne Gallagher was there.
Parents and grandparents angry about another day of education missed. It's the 9th day of industrial action by members of the National Education Union at Flint High School, and there are fears the children are the ones being forgotten.
If we were to take the children out of school, we'd be in serious trouble. So our children need to be in school, they need to have their education, especially year 11 and the year 10s as well, because they're all doing their GCSEs. So it's going to have a huge impact on their grades at the end. This needs to be resolved. We appreciate the teachers, and whoever's got their issues, but it's affecting our children, and that's what needs to be addressed.
Grandparent Linda's not against those striking, but says enough is enough.
This has gone on since September, and it looks like it's going to go on until Christmas now, and it's just not fair on the kids. They have the routine, which they need. They're missing their friends, and quite a few of them, they are getting quite anxious now because these top set, they're all doing exams as well, the mocks. So what's going to happen next year when they're doing the GCSEs and the results are going to be not as expected for no fault of theirs. Did we learn nothing in COVID?
Now, I have reached out to Flint High School this morning asking for an interview or a statement. They've rejected that. But I have seen a letter that's been sent out to parents of the school, and in it the head teacher apologises for the inconvenience the industrial action is causing, and she says she's disappointed that a resolution hasn't been found. But teachers on the picket line today wouldn't speak to us, saying they were fearful of repercussions.
Our members voted for industrial action because they felt that there was serious pupil behaviour issues in the school, and they're very concerned about the management's ability to deal with those issues. There is also concern about the management style of the head teacher.
Ultimately, what do the teachers want? Is it the head teacher to go?
Obviously, they're looking for changes in management style.
Flintshire Council has urged NEU members at the school to stop this industrial action, and they say governors have appropriately followed procedures in relation to the grievances brought forward. Joanne Gallagher, ITV News, Flint.
Still to come on tonight's programme. We meet the cider maker celebrating a bumper crop thanks to a long hot summer.
And summer feels like a distant memory for most of us as we settle right into this cool autumn weather. I'll have your full forecast coming up in just a bit.
The Welsh Government's published more details of spending plans for the next financial year, setting out how it'll share out the £27 billion budget between services like health, transport and education. But the budget is far from certain to go ahead because of a political stalemate in the Senedd. Well, our political editor, Adrian Masters, joins me now to explain. Adrian, what's been the reaction to what's been announced today, then?
Well, there's a bit of uncertainty as to how to react from unions, politicians and those involved in the organisations that have to deliver these policies. Excuse me. And that is because of the uncertainty that we will come on to in a moment. But broadly, there is more money for the NHS, there's more money in the areas like housing, and there's more money for transport and particularly rail, but only around about 2 to 2.5%, whereas inflation at the moment is 3.8%. Next year, it's due to come down to around this amount. But it does mean that unions such as the NEHT, the teaching union, says that this budget will do nothing to rescue schools from the crisis point that they're at, but broadly is a pause because of the uncertainty.
And you mentioned there's a question mark over the whole budget. What more can you tell us about that? Well,
the Labour Welsh Government can't get this budget through on its own. It doesn't have enough votes in the Senedd chamber. That's a fact recognised by the Finance Secretary, Mark Drakeford, who said this earlier.
It's absolutely imperative that we pass a budget in the final weeks of this Senedd term. Not to do so would be disastrous for our public services. Now, the budget we've laid down already spends 98.6% of all the money available to us next year, but that does leave some millions of pounds uncommitted, and I'm open to discussions with all parties about how we might make use of that extra additional finance.
And those discussions are apparently going on with, there's only one Liberal Democrat, that's not enough votes. Plaid Cymru and the Conservatives are actually having talks with the Labour Welsh Government, so we'll see what happens there. There's a final vote in January. If Labour loses that vote, that'll be the first time that that's happened in the 26 years of devolution, so uncharted territory.
OK, Adrian, thanks very much indeed. Next tonight, Tony Thomas was just 52 years old when he was told he had dementia and his life was turned upside down. A devastating diagnosis on its own, but after moving into assisted living, Tony has now been left with outstanding care costs of £200,000. His daughter Erin has called the care system broken, saying she was let down by her local health board and council after failures to check her father's eligibility for financial support and affordability. Sean Jenkins has our report.
I looked up to him a lot. He was very natural in front of the camera.
Let's go! Come on! Catch!
Yeah, these are memories that I'm very fond of.
Tony Thomas was once a busy and loving father, but in his late 40s, his family began to see a change in him.
I noticed some of his behaviour was a bit odd. He would wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning to give me breakfast. When he went into a restaurant, he would go to people's tables and play with their menus.
In 2017, Tony then had a serious accident. He put his hand into a combine harvesting machine, completely destroying his fingers.
He was always safety focused. This was very out of the ordinary, and that was a turning point because he could not tell me why he put his hand in a machine that he had been using for years.
5 years ago, at just 52 years old, Tony was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia and needed full-time care. But options were limited.
One option was an independent living facility on Anglesey, and the other option was that he would have to move to England. He is born and bred from Anglesey, so it's really important that he had that community around him.
Erin felt she had no choice but to opt for the independent living facility on Anglesey. The fees were considerable, but she was told by her local health board that her father would be eligible for financial support due to the complexity of his condition.
It was 12 grand a month for the first year, and then it doubled to up to 24 grand a month in the second year, making a total of around £250,000 going towards his care from his own pocket.
After 2 years, the bills kept coming, despite Tony's money running out. He now has £200,000 worth of unpaid care costs. Erin discovered that the application for financial support was never completed by Betsy Cadwaladr Health Board, and there were also missed opportunities by Anglesey County Council to prevent Tony's spiralling debts.
It's had a big impact on me emotionally. It was hurtful that I had to go through this when I should be making the most out of the time that I've got left with my dad.
No one from Betsy Cadwaladr Health Board was available to discuss Tony's case with me. However, they said they apologise once again for not giving information and guidance to Erin about the assessments and the financial support available. They said that staff now receive weekly support and advice on these processes, including one-to-one training. Anglesey County Council say they're in ongoing discussions with Erin and her family and recognise the difficulty of the situation.
Hello, Dad.
Tony is now a resident at Bryn Seiont Newydd Care Home, just outside Caernarfon, now funded by his local council and Betsy Cadwaladr.
I don't think it should be this hard for families. We need better communication between different teams, the health board, local council and the families as well. I want to see evidence of things changing, but if I don't see those lessons in action, then getting that faith back into the system won't happen.
Erin is currently in discussions with the local health board and council and is hoping a review of her father's case will result in backdated payments to clear some of the debts for his care. Sean Jenkins, ITV News, Anglesey.
Well, Welsh Government says it is committed to improving support for people with early onset dementia, with a consultation into services set to get underway at the end of this year. And you can see more about Tony's story in Y Byd ar Bedwar. That's tonight on S4C at 8 o'clock, and the programme has English subtitles. Stay with us, there's plenty more still ahead in the programme.
A man appears in court charged with attempted murder on both a high-speed train and at a London station earlier the same day. More details emerge of the stabbing spree on Saturday night, while praise mounts for the rail worker who saved passengers. We speak to the sole survivor of the Air India plane crash on his miraculous escape and the tragic loss of his brother.
It's completely different after this tragedy. Like physically, mentally.
And the new look Paddington revealed as the curtains open on the musical. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Commemorations have been held in the Conwy Valley for a disaster that struck in the depths of a dark November night 100 years ago. 16 people died when 2 dams burst and water and boulders from the reservoirs above descended on the village of Dolgarrog. It's a tragedy that brought significant change in the way reservoirs are built and maintained, as Ian Lang now reports.
A siren wails as people came together in the Conwy Valley community of Dolgarrog on Sunday to commemorate the 100th anniversary of a disaster which saw 16 lives lost when a dam failed in the mountains above, bringing sudden death and destruction. A century ago, there was no warning siren, and lives were swept away because of a botched design and a complete absence of laws to protect people from the potential destructive power of water. Memories have been handed down, mother to daughter, father to son.
She told me about one of her sisters, being found clinging to a mattress and holding her teddy. Obviously, she passed away. And I think told us about how much it disrupted the whole family that were left.
I remember my granddad saying, and he tried to save people that night, because it happened at 9 o'clock at night in the dark. And he said the church had been destroyed and the church bell, went down with the bodies. And I remember him quoting, "For whom the bell tolls."
Organised by Conwy Council and the local community, there were exhibitions, music and poetry, all to commemorate those who died.
I've been bringing the human stories to life, talking to the relatives, making sure they're happy. I've met relatives who've been given names in honour of the people and their family who died, and they wanted their stories told. And so I've been working with writers to create poems, prose and some monologues that have really helped bring people to life.
The remains of the broken dam can still be seen today in the hills above the Conwy Valley. The disaster itself led to a change in the law.
This day and age, the regulation that was in place back in the disaster time, there was nobody really looking at dam safety. If you fast forward to today, there's now 4 panels involved, all overseen by the Institute of Civil Engineers, who are appointed by the governments of the various nations of the UK. So we've got an army of engineers and people below them looking at dam safety across the UK.
It was a day to remember the innocent victims of a tragedy that has echoed down the generations of this small community. Ian Lang, ITV News, Dolgarrog.
Now, with November underway, it's not just the leaves falling from the trees. Ripe apples are plentiful this year after a long, hot summer produced a bumper crop, which is good news for Andy Hallett, who's been making cider in the South Wales hills for more than 20 years. Here's Andy explaining to our reporter Megan Boot how it's done.
This is the start of the process here. Okay. Freshly picked apples will come in on this trailer, 2.5 tons at a time.
And that's just from up at the top there?
Yeah, from the farm, and I got a contract orchard as well, so the apples come from there. This then is the wash area. We've got a second stage just over here, where second clean, and then a final rinse going up that elevator, and then it goes into the mill proper where the apples are turned into a pulp. From that point then, it's pumped through into the top of the press. And this is the pulp before it's pressed.
Yeah.
And this works like the old-fashioned clothes wringing machine. So so the liquid inside the pulp is wrung out, is collected underneath in these trays.
Oh my gosh, look at that! It almost looks fluffy.
Yeah, well,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and apple candy floss. Yeah. So the juice is collected under that foam. The liquid is then pumped across the cider mill over into the tanks over there ready for fermentation. So this is where the juice ends up after pressing. Yeah. So this tank holds 5,000 litres, well a little bit more than 5,000. I fill it just up to the 5,000 litre mark, and that then is about 3 loads from the initial harvest. So that then will be transferred into a new sterile tank. When I walk in here, if I smell something that doesn't quite feel or smell right to me, I can adjust it. I can add some nutrient maybe to improve the gas that comes off. So what I want really is like a fruity carbon dioxide coming off, and that's perfect for me.
So you've got a very good sensitive nose then to
Really sensitive nose, yeah.
You've got an actual bar.
Yeah, this is just a little tasting area.
Right. And you've been doing this now for over 20 years. What's the best bit of it?
Cider. I think it's the activity, you know, it's a craft. It's a lovely thing to do.
Yeah.
And you can enjoy your wares at the end of the day. It's got a lovely sort of demographic of cider makers, believe it or not. There's a lot in Wales.
Yeah.
And, you know, we all tend to get on and socialise. Yeah, it's good.
Andy, thank you so much for talking us through the process.
No problem. Thank you.
Looks delicious. Well, the long, hot summer seems a long way away. Here's the forecast with Des.
Midday Mayan temples, followed by sunny afternoons on the sand. TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
Hi, do you know something? I hope you've enjoyed your day so far. Monday, the 3rd of November. Our weather story certainly has been one with an unsettled theme. In fact, that theme will continue, certainly for the next 48 hours. It's been windy and fairly dull as well. We've come to the end of October, so the stats have come in. It's been one of the dullest on record. A couple of places have seen the record being broken, but generally the second, with October 1968 beating October 2025. So as you do head into the overnight story, it's just bands of rain continuing to push through. The winds as well, if you trace them all the way back to their origin, they're coming up from the Azores, so it's always going to be fairly mild. And that mild air sits on top of us tonight. Temperatures dipping down to 12 degrees, around 54 degrees Fahrenheit. We should be seeing around 7. When it comes to the strength of wind, they are going to be the strongest, certainly towards the northwest of the coast. And we still could see gusts of around 50 miles an hour. That's gale force. Waking up tomorrow morning, we've got this band of rain on top of us. Really going to be a wet driving to work, an awful lot of spray on the roads. And that rain continues to feed through, so much so that by the time we get to midday tomorrow, we have a weather warning in place for areas like Cardiff towards the south, Swansea and Merthyr Tydfil. Temperatures tomorrow around 13 to 15 degrees. Again, quite mild for this stage in the year and continuing to be fairly breezy. A little bit more of a respite tomorrow, certainly to the northern part of our patch. When it comes to the rain easing, remaining fairly cloudy and certainly towards hills, a lot of mist and murk. This is a summary for the week ahead.
TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
I'll be back with the late updates after the ITV news at 10. I'll see you then. Bye for now.